going on, guys? I'm getting a really late start today. It's like, I think 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's like 8 o'clock right now. I was supposed to do this at like 4. But basically, my sister's car, someone rear-ended it, and then I had to drive all over the GTA and help her out and get everything dealt with. I was in Brenton, Mississauga, Etobicoke, and just everywhere. So my plan for today is to get these two front fenders molded on, bodyworked, and primed. I'll show you what I mean. So I can't do this in one day, but basically I want to turn these fenders on both sides, this is the driver's side, but the passenger side as well, into something like this. This took me a long time. It was 3 separate pieces. I'm just going to do the one piece here. To do this, we have to drill out all the rivets. The rivet holes were made. They're all rusted out. Just take them out. Whatever, no big deal. I'm also going to Sharpie around the edges so I know where I'm going to grind off. And then we're going to screw these back on with adhesive behind. Well, I can't find my Sharpie, but a screw will work. What we have to do is drill out these rivets with a 1/8 bit, and this will vary depending on what size rivets you use, but mine two right here are 1/8, so just drill them out. The big one, I don't know what it is, but I'll try 1/8 and go up from there. There you go. Now that you have your fender off, there's just a couple things you have to do. You gotta look on the inside of your fender flare and on the edges that are gonna go to the metal of your fender. You have to sand down smooth. I've had this fender on now for like 2 or 3 years, so it's full of dirt and garbage. So I gotta sand this all smooth, get it to fresh, clean fiberglass. When that's done, I also have to go around where I marked and grind this all off, so when I put the flare on, it's gonna stick. If I don't do that, it's not gonna hold, it's gonna rip the paint off, and I know that because it's happened to me. I didn't realize. There's a bunny just watching what's going on, about to subscribe. Alright, now the fun part. I didn't end up recording this just because it did get dark, but basically I put PL Premium on, I riveted it on just enough to hold it, and then I found there was a couple spots that were lifting, so I put some self-tappers down just to help kind of hold everything down. It's not a perfect job, but I don't expect it to be perfect. After this, we're going to take the fenders off, fiberglass the rear end on the inside up here, and then sand everything down and start body working it. But this is the beginning step to it. I did get some peel here, but I'm not worried about it. This door needs to come off, get sanded anyways. But tomorrow I will record what I did here on the other side, because I didn't want to do it next to the STI. It's really hot and I'm sweating like a pig. Alright, I got this side caught up to what we were at yesterday. After this is done, you sand the edges of the flare that's going to be glued on. I just use PL Premium. People recommend like 3M panel bonder or something like that. You don't really need it. I've ran these flares on for like 2 years through the winter and summer, never had any issues or cracking with the way I do it. This is also $8, whereas the 3M stuff I think is like $60 to $80, so do the math. I'll show you how to put this on now. It's pretty straightforward. You just put glue on and then put a couple rivets to hold it and let it cure. Alright, now the adhesive's on. take your panel, just let up the holes. I like to take two just to help hold everything in place before I glue it all down. So now it's held. You can now take your rivet gun, put it in. I'll get it tight, but I won't fully tighten it down, just so you can still move it around for the last one. So something you also notice is there's a lot of gaps on the panel. So just throw a couple of rivets in. It'll help hold everything down, and you'll get a strong bond. Alright, now that most of the gaps are filled, as you can see, for the most part, I mean, obviously there's going to have to be some touch-up work done. It doesn't matter though, because we are going to be fiberglassing it anyways. So you can see here, I took out the self-tappers already. It's only very strong. I can shake it and it does not budge. So maybe not today, but tomorrow I'll come down, I'll sand all this off. After we lay the Bondo glass, take off the fenders, fiberglass the inside. It should be easier than the rear, because obviously the rear you can't take them off. I'll probably do most of the body work off the car just because it'd be easier. But other than that, like, that's it. That's what I use to hold on the flares, and it's worked for years. So I don't see why to spend all this money on expensive material and it could be done with like next to nothing. That's what you do. Obviously, yeah, I burned through the fiberglass just because it's a cheap eBay kit, man. It's like, whatever. That's why I'm doing this anyways, because it never fit right, so I have to do this. But I'll come back to it probably tomorrow. Take off the fender flares, put some fiberglass on it, and call it a day. Alright, it's been a couple of days. These should be fully cured now. They're not going anywhere. As you can see, they're very strong. It's a very strong adhesive. You don't got to worry about it. It has been raining, so you can see rust has been starting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our flat disc, like we did before when cleaning up these fenders, smooth all this out. It doesn't matter how much material we take off because we're filling it up anyways. So we're going to take all this down, throw some Bondo glass on it, get a half decent coating on it. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're sanding anyways. Do that to both sides, and then after that I'm probably going to take off the fenders and fiberglass the inside. Alright, once it's all cleaned up, I like to take Bondo glass. I only really do one layer on it. It's not your final layer. Stuff's about a year or two old, so it's a stir. Take a bit out. This is just to help build a foundation. It's not to give most of the strength. It's to give some strength and fill in some spots, but really to just, I don't know, you'll see. Most of the strength is the fiberglass from behind and the peel premium. That's probably more than enough. You also need your hardener. When we're going to put this on, just put a line across, mix it all in, get it all to the same color, and then we're going to run a skim just across the fender. I'm going to set you guys up for that, because once I start mixing this, I cannot set up the camera. And I feel like this is kind of straightforward, whereas the fender's not. Right, now that's all mixed up, you want to do this fairly quick, but take a decent amount. And just kind of start skimming it. Looks like I got some stuff in there. So less is more. You can always go back and add more. It's a lot easier to add more than it is to take away. So you don't need to worry about getting full coverage on your first shot. Alright. And the best way to clean these is just let the stuff harden on it. If you try to take it off, it's a pain in the ass. Just let it harden and then it pops right off. But we use quite a bit of it, so we don't really have that issue. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just apply a bit, let it harden, apply a little bit more, let it harden, sand, and repeat. Alright, so this side hardened while I was eating dinner, and I applied a little bit more on the top. I probably could have put a layer or two of fiberglass here just to add more strength, but in all honesty, I'm not too worried about it. It would have been nice, but we're going to fiberglass the rear anyways. The reason why I'm saying that is because the thickness of the piece itself, there's just so much to it just to make it flow. Like, just to make it flow nice, I had to put another layer just to, like, even get it remotely close. Here's not as bad, but on the top it's pretty bad. It could have been put in the wrong spot, or I don't know. But already it's like, it ain't going nowhere, and I'm like pulling the car with this. What's good to do is while one side is drying, is to work on the other. So this side is now dry. I could again put a little bit more here, a little here. Over there again, it's not too bad. In all honesty, I'm not too worried about this. It's kind of good for this stuff, but even then, it's whatever. I might put a little more right here. Maybe a little here and right here, but not too bad. Alright, so now it's time for the fun part of sanding. And if I haven't mentioned this yet, I can't stand bodywork. I don't mind a little bit of it. Like, I could do a little, but like when it's hours and hours and hours and every day you're doing it, you're sweating outside, I can't stand it. And I've already done enough. I just want this over with. But pretty much we're just going to take this down a little bit. We're not going to completely knock it down, try to get a perfect finish. We're just taking it down enough to keep the strength from the Bondo glass. And then put a skim coat of the normal body filler. I don't use anything else. Like, I don't use icing coats or anything. I've never done that. I've never really had an issue. And I'm not going for a show car finish. I'm just going for, like, you know, a daily getter kind of car finish, you know. And in all honesty, I think I did a very good job on my other ones with what I had. So, you know, I don't think it's that bad. But for this, you want to make sure you have a mask. The other things, I didn't have a mask on. I was only using the grinder a little bit. I know I should have had a mask because of, like, the paint and stuff. But, you know, I'm holding my breath while I do it. So yeah, go ahead. Let's knock some of this down. I'm not going to show all of it, but just give you a taste. So something I'd like to do here is I want to knock down the edges just because I want to know where the factory finish is, I guess the factory panel is. And I'm also not using this material as the final end product. This is just to help strengthen it and just help build it up. I might just go ahead and put body filler on this, just like normal body filler. I decided to just put the normal body filler. I don't really have time to talk and explain because I do find this stuff dries fast and I put a decent amount of hardener in it. But as you're pushing it down, you want to make sure it gets into all the cracks. You want to spread it nice and even. You also notice this goes on a lot smoother. I probably could have done a better job at mixing it because I do see some colors that are not the same. but it's okay. Work. So I know a little bit, but not a lot. And I don't know how much you saw there, but I'm constantly trying to smoothen it out, get all the spaces. I didn't do a great job here, and I'm working against the material. But while this dries, I'm gonna go ahead and sand the other side. I'm not gonna bother recording it. It's the same thing. All right, this side's about hardened. You can tell because it will kind of lose the stickiness. It's a little sticky still. I honestly might just leave this overnight. I could have put a little bit more hardener into it, but it'll take longer to harden. This side I've sanded, and I put a layer of normal Bondo on it. And I feel like I did a better job. I feel like I did a better job over here compared to the other side. I guess just because it's been probably a year since I last really did body fillers, so it takes a second to get used to it again. But obviously it is wet because I just did it. In case you're wondering, this is what I'm using. It's just your normal Bondo body filler, stage 3. All right, guys, it's the next day. These have definitely hardened by now. It doesn't take overnight to harden. It just got dark, so I stopped. I'm gonna go ahead, use the orbital sander to take down some of the bigger stuff, and then probably hand sand a lot of this. I like hand sanding to get like the more final finish and like a better shape. Orbital is good for taking like the chunks out. I just find it's not very predictable, and I get a better result when I just do it by hand. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, over the last about 2 days, I've done this. It looks pretty good, in my opinion. I can't really fix up this part until I take off the fenders, which I'm going to do after tomorrow, because we're making tomatoes right now, and I just don't got space in the garage to do it. There's a dent here. Fix it all up. A little rust spot that was here. This is all good to go. Let's sand that when ready. All this chips and stuff I'll do when the door is basically ready to paint, and I take them off. All the rust underneath, the parts you see all bodywork, the insides, I'll just grind down the floppy disk and put black silicone. I'm not really worried about it. This side's pretty much done. There's a little rust spot there, little rust spot right here. I hit the house again, so I had to fix this again. That's awesome. A little bit of touch up here I have to do, but I can't do it until I park the car and take the bumper off, and I'm not doing that yet, but soon I will. A little bit to do here. But now I'm tackling this side. So I'm hoping in the next couple of days this will be done.